Hey y'all, we got a 2-2 series in the NBA Finals, but the way we got there was pretty wild, and I'm here to talk about it. Before we begin, I do want to apologize. I know there's no video, and the audio is probably bad. I don't have my mic with me. I'm not home, but I had to talk about this game, man, because it was a wild one to say the least, man. But bear with me. Next game, it will be perfectly right back to normal. I promise y'all that. But be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you are new. This is a place where we talk about NBA basketball. So if you love hoops, this is the place for you. And well, this NBA Finals game was very entertaining to say the least. But I hate to start such a great game by talking about the officiating. But I feel like that's the story of this game, and that's what's on my mind the most, other than the way Chris Paul played. But we're gonna get to all of that. We're gonna get to Chris Paul. We're gonna get to Devin Booker. We're gonna get to Khris Middleton, Giannis. We're gonna get to all that. But start with the officiating because it was it was off on both sides. Like this game wasn't called in one direction. It was pretty evenly called. I don't know what the foul call numbers look like or the free throw attempts, but from watching, it looked pretty even on both sides. I mean, you had players with foul trouble on both teams. You had weird calls here and there. The weirdest of them all, Devin Booker had 5 fouls, and he clearly, like, obviously fouled Jrue Holiday. Like, that's without a doubt. He definitely fouled Jrue Holiday, but the referees didn't call it, and it's like they were teetering between letting guys play, but also, calling fouls when they thought fouls were happening. Like they were kind of swinging back and forth. It was an inconsistent game to say the least, but you know, officials are human. They make mistakes, so you can't really give them too much. And whether or not you want to say that was a foul, I mean, it obviously was a foul on Devin Booker, but the Bucks ended up winning this game. So at the end of the day, it didn't really play too much into it. But I could only imagine if Devin Booker hit some big shots down the stretch and the Suns win this game, just how irate the entire city and state, the city of Milwaukee and the state of Wisconsin would be, and the entire Bucks organization, like, they would be irate for sure. But the Bucks were able to win this game. Another weird officiating thing that I saw, which was just odd, because I think this is supposed to happen when a player gets hurt and it's a dead ball. Shouldn't the game be stopped right there? Cam Johnson, he slips, he loses his footing, he slips. He's grabbing his ankle, and the referees, they look at him and they let the Bucks inbound the ball, which I understand if it happens during a live possession, you don't want to stop the flow of the game, and then you call the ball, then you call it dead, let the player get tended to if he's hurt or whatever. But the referees didn't do that. That was just a weird thing that I saw. And Cam Johnson is my guy. That's a Carolina boy. I didn't like that. I did not like that at all. But nonetheless, let's get to the actual basketball in this game because it was a very good game. Once you look past the officiating, it was a very good game. Big plays on both sides. I have to give the shout out to Khris Middleton. That's where this is starting because Khris Middleton, game one, he didn't shoot the ball amazingly, but he was the only player that I think was being super aggressive on the offensive side. I think he had 30 points in that game. Game two, he stunk it up like big time. I think he only had 11 points. He shot the ball terrible. He really never tried to get into any rhythm. Game three, he was okay, but of course it was the Giannis game. Jrue Holiday played very well offensively. Let's get to game four tonight. Khris Middleton. This is the best way to describe Khris Middleton in this postseason. You're either getting the bad version of Kyle Kuzma, or you're getting like prime Michael Jordan. There's no in between. Like that's what you're getting from Khris Middleton. And tonight, he was prime Michael Jordan. He did shoot 33 shots, but I don't care. He had 40 points. He hit timely shots. He hit big time shots when they mattered the most to stop a Phoenix run or just, clutch. He hit some clutch shots, some tough shots down the stretch. He takes a lot of tough shots, but he also makes a lot of tough shots when he's going. Khris Middleton, he's the fall guy for this Bucks team when they're not playing good, but he deserves a lot of credit for now this being a 2-2 series because he played his heart out tonight. He played his heart out tonight. I think he played well on both sides of the ball, but offensively, especially in the fourth quarter, the pick and roll with him and Giannis was pretty much unstoppable down the stretch. Khris Middleton was getting to his spots. He was hitting shots, and he was always making the right play. Cash Money Chris, shout out to you for a big time performance. And Giannis is playing. He's just playing super elite basketball in this NBA Finals. In the first half, or like the first 2.5 quarters, it looked like one of my guys asked in the chat, like, is he hurt? And I was like, nah, he's probably just kind of gassed because he he's been playing super elite the last 2 games. And I know they had the 3 days off, but a guy like Giannis, he plays 110% every possession on the floor. And for the first 2.5 quarters of this game, it just didn't look like that. Like he looked like he was a little fatigued or something was bothering him. But it seemed like as soon as my friend said that, the flip completely switched for Giannis. Like he turned it up. He was running the floor. He was playing amazing defense. He was blocking shots, getting steals, finishing on the inside, and ones here and there. He had an amazing last quarter and a half. He played phenomenal. The big time play was the block on DeAndre Ayton. That was a big time play, very big time play. And the pass by Devin Booker, like if you see the play, the pass was not very good. Like I was watching it on my phone and it was kind of grainy, but like it looked like the pass was super high. And then my dad confirmed it. He was like, "Yeah, the pass was high. It was a bad pass." And I don't know how DeAndre Ayton even got his hands on it, but Giannis came and blocked it away. It was a big time play. That kind of swung the play of the game. That swung the momentum of the game at that point. And then there was the possession, which now we're gonna get into the Chris Paul talk. Phoenix was down 2, I believe, at this time, and it was under 30 seconds. Chris Paul is having probably his worst game of the postseason in which he's been deemed healthy. Because there were games in the Lakers series where he was clearly not healthy, but he was playing through it, and he wasn't playing great, but he wasn't hurting the team at the same time. But tonight he played one of his worst games. He had 5 turnovers. I think he only had 8 points. Let's pull up the numbers real quick because I think 7 assists. Yep, he had 10.7 assists and 5 turnovers, 5 for 13. That's pitiful for Chris Paul. And he had crucial turnovers at the wrong time. And let's get into this possession. Chris Paul tries to run the pick and roll, and at this point, Devin Booker has 40 points. And Devin Booker doesn't touch the ball. Chris Paul tries to come off the screen and roll, snake the pick like he always does. And Giannis was right there, and Chris Paul lost his balance. And Giannis made it difficult for Chris Paul to get into his comfort zone on that play. Led to a turnover, led to a Khris Middleton layup, and that pretty much sealed the game right there. Everybody that has been a fan of this channel has been listening to me talk all season long, since January, knows I'm a big Chris Paul fan, but I'm not a big enough fan to where I don't see when he plays bad, and I'm not afraid to speak on it. He played a bad basketball game tonight. It was a very bad game from him. Uncharacteristic turnovers. It seemed like he was never trying to find his rhythm offensively. He was really deferring to Devin Booker, and of course D-Book had an amazing game, but Chris Paul never seemed to really take charge like you would want him to. And I can't really attest to anything besides him just not playing good tonight. And my dad said it's because he's old. He said it's because he's old, and I'm like, well, he is, like, yeah, he's 36 and stuff, but I'm not giving him a pass for being, like, not a pass, but I'm not giving him that excuse that he's old. He just did not play good tonight. You got to give credit to the guards and the defenders that Milwaukee has. I mean, Jrue Holiday was getting that assignment, and he had Chris Paul rattled. He had Chris Paul rattled in this game. Not just defending Chris Paul, but he was going at Chris Paul. And you might think, I haven't mentioned Jrue Holiday. He shot 4 for 20. He shot god-awful from the field. God-awful from the field. But we already mentioned his defense being super elite. His defense was super elite. And offensively, even though he shot 20% from the field, even though he shot 20% from the field, he was getting inside. He was getting in the paint. He was missing layups and stuff, but he was taking the offense to Chris Paul. He was not settling for jump shots. He was going at Chris Paul. He was posting up. And once again, my dad made a very good point. He's like, that wears you down, especially when you're a small guard. Chris Paul's only 6 foot, maybe. He's a small guard. He said that really wears you down, especially somebody like Jrue Holiday who's 6'4", like 200 pounds. That's a solidly built dude. And I can see exactly what my dad was saying. Like that wears you down. When you're not used to getting posted up and you're getting posted up by a bigger guard, that wears you down. And I think that all that factored into Chris Paul having his worst game of this finals, probably his worst game of the postseason, and quite frankly, one of the worst games I've ever seen him play. And that's not good for Chris Paul because like you've had all of these playoff moments where you're just you come up short, or you blow a 3-1 lead, or you break your hand, or you pull your hamstring, or this happens, that happens, you don't get traded to the Lakers. Like so much has gone wrong for Chris Paul. Everything aside from catching the virus and hurting his shoulder in the first round, everything has gone perfectly right for this Phoenix Suns team. Anthony Davis was hurt the second half of the series. Jamal Murray did not play in the second round series. Kawhi Leonard, who we found out has a partially torn ACL, and that's a whole nother story that I really want to dive into, but not today. He didn't play in that series either, and it's like everything's going perfectly right for you. And I don't I don't know if like clearly the Suns are a better team or not, but I think the Suns are the favorites in this finals. So it's like everything is setting up perfectly for you, Chris Paul, and you have one of your worst games in your career where you didn't finish the game hurt or really in foul trouble. On the biggest stage, you had a chance to go up 3-1 to go back to Phoenix and close it out. And you put up a stinker. You put up a terrible game. There's no way around that. You expect better from one of the best point guards to ever touch a basketball. And like I said, I'm a fan of Chris Paul, so I think I can be very critical of him in this moment. I give him his flowers when he plays amazingly, but I'm not afraid to get on his case when he plays bad. I've done that with all guys that I really enjoy watching or on my favorite team. Um, if you guys know, I'm very critical of Jason Tatum. Like I'm very critical of Jason Tatum all the time. I think he can be even better than what he has been. Same way with just all my favorite players. Like I'm not afraid to call them out when they're not playing good or they're doing something wrong. Same thing with James Harden. Same thing with CJ McCollum. Like all these guys, I really love watching play the game of basketball, and I'm not afraid to call them out when they're not playing good. But I feel like as a fan, you should be able to do that, and you should do that often. But Chris Paul, you got to be better. That's really as simple as you can put it. You got to be better, Chris Paul. And yeah, I'm about to say this too. Shout out to Bud. Shout out to Bud. I didn't give him credit in Game 3, but I think I was tripping. I rewatched it. I rewatched some highlights and stuff, and rewatched a little bit of the game. He coached a pretty good game in Game 3, and I think he was even more masterful in Game 4 tonight. And this is why Brook Lopez is your starting center. He's been an All NBA defender, former All Star. We know Brook can cook. If he's given the opportunity, we know he can stretch the floor. We seen him have the big game against the Atlanta Hawks in the previous round when Giannis was out. Brook Lopez, starting center on this team, barely played in the second half, and he only played 19 minutes in the game. I like that. I like that Coach Bud was not scared to pull one of his big time starters who always plays 30+ minutes. Bud was not afraid to pull him out the game. He gave Bobby Portis some minutes, even though Bobby Portis shot 1 for 6. I feel like the team has a different energy when Bobby Portis is in the game. And I like that Bobby Portis to get more minutes. I like that Bud was not afraid to, not give Brook Lopez the minutes because he wasn't playing good. And then I like that he's letting his big three play the game. Like, Bud is notorious for, okay, you're playing this amount of minutes, and no matter how the game flows, you're playing this amount of minutes. No, this is Game 4 of the NBA Finals. Scrap all that out the window. Giannis, you're playing 43 minutes. Khris Middleton, you're playing 43 minutes. Jrue Holiday, you're playing 43 minutes. The Pat Connaughton minutes, super underrated in this series. He's been very good in this series. He's hit big threes. He rebounds very well. I think Jeff Van Gundy said on the call, he's a very good rebounding player for a wing. And like he had 9 boards tonight, and he had a couple offensive rebounds. He had a tip in the fourth quarter, which is big. The Pat Connaughton minutes have been very good. The small ball lineup was very effective, especially in the fourth quarter. Shout out to Bud. Masterful game. I can't believe I'm saying that. Masterful game in Game 4 of the NBA Finals, that's one of the best games I've ever seen him coach. He did his thing for sure. You can see the rotations are getting shorter. Only 8 players for each team touched the floor tonight. Even like Jeff T did not touch the floor in the second half. I think Jrue Holiday might have played the entire second half. If I'm not mistaken, Khris Middleton might have too. Look, it's a best of 3 now, man. These last 3 games, it's gonna be an absolute dogfight. And I've mentioned before, of course, I'm rooting for the Suns. Of course, Chris Paul is one of my favorite players. Of course, I'm rooting for the Suns, but more than anything, I'm rooting for a good series because I'm a basketball fan. I like talking basketball. I like watching basketball. If we get 7 games of this, I think I'll be happy. I think I'll be very happy if we get 7 games of this because this has been a very good series. Even though games 1 through 3 were, double-digit wins, I think games 1 and 2 were a little more competitive than game 3 was. But this game tonight just showed you how evenly matched these two teams are. And the 2 games in the regular season were, I think, 1-point wins by the Phoenix Suns. Like, in a 1-point game, a small thing can really turn, the outcome of that contest. So, yeah, I'm excited. I hope y'all are excited too, man, because the series is only getting better. Both teams shot bad from 3. This was an ugly game. Like, this was an ugly game just shooting, like, efficiency-wise, Even though Suns did shoot 50% from the field, but jump shooting was just very poor in this game. That's why the shots that Khris Middleton hit were big time. Devin Booker, I don't even think I mentioned just how phenomenal he was in this game. Like, if considering how bad he played in game number 3, you would imagine he's not going to play that bad in another game this series. He put on just a clinic of, this is what, if you're a young guard, a young wing player, and you want to get a bag. I'm not talking about a bag isn't getting paid, but if you wanna show that you can get a bucket no matter who's guarding you, watch this game from Devin Booker and just watch Devin Booker in general because this was what I like to say. This was pure just skills and drills. Like, it didn't matter who was in front of him. He said, "I'm gonna get to my spot, and there's nothing that you can do about it, and I'm gonna drop 42 points." But the big thing was him getting in foul trouble. That was a big turning point in the game. You can argue maybe the foul that he did get his, I think, 5th. Nah, he got a 4th one. Yeah, he got a 4th one before that. Then he got a 5th in the 4th quarter before the non-foul call. The 5th one might have been a little questionable because it looked like he just kind of boxed PJ Tucker out, and PJ Tucker just kind of like flopped a little bit. And I'm like, dude, PJ, you're the biggest dude on the court pound for pound. But, that, like, honestly, that might be why the refs did not call that one foul because what I've learned from watching basketball, I know this is almost a 20-minute video. I'm almost done. But referees, they love when they miss a call or they make a bad call, they will make it up somehow. And that might have been their way of trying to make up for it, but that is a bad way to make up for it because that could have cost the Bucks this game and ultimately the series. But here we are going back to Phoenix. I don't know if they're having another 3 days off. Let's check real quick. Yeah, game 5 is not until Saturday, so another 3 days off. Yeah, I'm ranting now. I like the 2 days off because I don't know, it just felt like it was one day off and then back to basketball. But now it's like we don't have NBA basketball for the next couple of days, but I think there might be another Olympic qualifier or exhibition game, which the Olympic team, that's a whole nother story. Or they might have played their last one, I don't know. And if y'all really are just hoop heads, WNBA All-Star game, I think, is like tomorrow or Friday. So if y'all are real hoop heads, you can tune into that, man. Shout out to the WNBA. And yeah, this is about to be a 20-minute video. So if you made it to this point, drop a comment for me. Like, just tell me that you made it to this point. Just comment Khris Middleton. Then I will know that you rock with me talking with no video for 20 minutes. I'm going to have to put some highlights over this or something, man. Hopefully the NBA doesn't try to copyright me. But, hey, I appreciate y'all. These finals is getting crazy. Chris Paul, be better. Shout out to Cash Money Middleton, man. Big time performance. I'm going to catch up with y'all probably after the game Saturday. Actually, definitely after the game Saturday. Might have some more vids dropping for y'all in the next few days because, off-season news is dropping. So be on the lookout for that. Make sure you got post notifications on and all that. And I'll catch y'all next time, man. Peace.